Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a stroke survivor and grateful recovering alcoholic. Today's topic is why do we give up? Getting sober and staying sober is simple, but it's not easy. And this is something that I've been hearing a lot in my meetings lately, and I wanted to talk about it. And I'm even more reminded of this when another fellow alcoholic ends up going to the emergency room or going to detox. And it just so happened that yesterday, both of these two things happened. I had one friend that went to ER, and the other one went into detox for the first time. So I took a look at myself. I'm accepting these difficulties in my life that I'm facing right now, and I'm sharing them with others, not only in the podcast, but I go to my meetings, and I'm maintaining a regular practice for my sobriety program and for my stroke recovery. And I know what to do if this regular practice, these habits, these healthy habits that I create, if I fall off of them. And I'm committed to these healthy habits, and they do get disrupted by life. Life happens, sober or not. Here are my thoughts on breaking healthy habits. Pretty much, I forgive myself and I keep going. I mean, it's as basic as that for me. I used to things like going to the gym. I'd fall off for a day, and then when you miss a day, you end up missing a week, and then it's 2 weeks, and you're like, oh, and then you just start beating yourself up about it. What I try to do is as soon as I miss something, I just forgive myself. It doesn't matter. And you know, I, it, I was trying to think of how can I say that so it doesn't sound like I don't give a shit about anything. And that's not what I'm saying. It's just that it's better for me to pick back up and go forth and conquer than to sit there and beat myself up about it. It's not doing me any good to say, oh, you're a failure. You couldn't get it done this time. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that self-talk about, oh, you're a failure, just give up kind of thing. So I heard on Calm this morning about, it said, even a symphony has an intermission. And I thought that was a beautiful way of looking at when we take a break from our healthy habits. If we miss a day going to the gym, or, we end up cheating and having some dessert or something like that, that even a symphony has an intermission. There's a woman in my life who is an alcoholic, and she's a chronic relapser. We say in the program, some people are sicker than others, and I didn't get that for a long time. I felt like, well, everybody's got the disease, so it's the same in everybody. It's not the same in everybody. Some people are sicker than others. Some people are dual diagnosed. There's lots of factors that weigh into this disease that we carry. And so this woman and I have a mutually beneficial daily call in the morning. I love it because I've been out of work for several months now, a few months, And it's really nice for me to get a phone call every day. I love it. I get to talk to somebody every day. It's something that I can count on, it's something that I look forward to. I really like talking to her. And for her, this habit of picking up the phone is one of many, that is the difference between life and death for her. And that's what it's gotten to. The chronic relapsing, we get to the point where our body cannot function without alcohol in it. And that is what sends a lot of active alcoholics to the emergency room, because they start going through lots of different withdrawal symptoms if they try to stop vomiting, all kinds of hallucinations, all kinds of stuff. And so I didn't hear from her for 4 days. The last time I talked to her was on Saturday. And I found out this morning that she was in the emergency room today. And by no means am I saying that I was keeping her sober. That is, I can't do anything to keep somebody sober. It's just one of the small things that she was doing for herself, a healthy habit that, among all the other things that she needed to do, dropped, you know? So I don't know when she started drinking. I just know that I didn't hear from her on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And today she was in the emergency room. And these healthy habits that we create in sobriety, and know that whenever I'm talking about what I do for myself in sobriety, I'm also doing this for myself in my stroke recovery. This way that I'm trying to get my life on track, get on this beam and know how to stay on it, mentally and physically. Um, so the healthy habits that I create, the intrapersonal boundaries that I form, that I talked about recently, and the values that get me to be passionate, these are the things that keep me sober. These are the things that help me live each day now without a headache, and not being depressed because I can't do anything. I had to create an environment for myself that was healthy, but also an environment that keeps me happy. And one of those things was receiving this phone call from my friend. So what happens that makes us stop? What happens that makes us quit a healthy habit or take a break from it? Why are we so gung ho for a while and then we drift away from doing whatever that thing is, whatever that next right thing is that we've created as our healthy habit or our personal boundary, um, the thing that we built around our values? Why do we give up on ourselves? And why do we think that giving up is an option? Why do we think that when I'm picking up the phone and calling somebody every day because I know that I can stay sober that way, Why on a certain day do I stop? You know? Why on that day do I think that I have a new choice that day? I can choose to keep going or I can choose to stop. And when I have that feeling that I'm choosing to stop, in other words, give up, at that same time, I'm feeling helpless, powerless. I'm feeling like I don't have control. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with my relationship with alcohol and why I felt like I didn't have a choice to drink. That's what the disease did for me. So, but before I get there, when I was drinking, I was so used to depression and suffering that I assumed that there was nothing I could do about it. So, over the years, because I wasn't like that when I was a kid, I think I had some issues as far as depression when I was a kid. I don't think it was anything significant that could have changed my life if it was addressed or anything like that. But I can see that over the course of my life, as I continued to drink more and more, that I learned that depression and suffering is is the state of things for me. I learned that that is the way that life is for me. It was a learned behavior. And so, a little bit about my experience. So, in 2015, I went to the CATS detox facility in Fairfax, Virginia. And after just a day or two, I can't remember how long I was in there, um, before I called my boyfriend from the landline hanging in the hallway, because you're not allowed to have your cell phone. I called him and I said that I wanted to come home. I wanted to give up on myself. So I don't, why did I want to give up? It was uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there, you know? Um, I started telling myself lies, like I can come, I'm just going to try another way. I'll come home. I'll try to not drink. And so I called him, and my boyfriend, being the wise man that he is, left the choice up to me. He shared his opinion about me staying, but he said, this is, it's your choice, but I really think that you should choose to stay. He didn't say, Rachel, you got to stay. You must be crazy if you think you need to leave or something like that. He left the decision up to me because the decision was up to me, you know? So I stayed. And that was the time that I was in detox that I was on a walker. And I was on the walker for 3 days because of my withdrawals. I was dizzy and I couldn't walk without the walker. So after I got out, skipping forward a little bit, after I got out of the CATS facility, um, a couple months into sobriety, I was, I guess, just having a short, quick little talk with myself. And I said to myself, I won't be able to do this for the rest of my life. That was it. That was my conversation with myself. And I agreed with myself. So I drank. I mean, it was as simple as that. I didn't reach out to anybody. I didn't tell my boyfriend. I didn't call a sponsor. I didn't reach out. I didn't do anything. I just had a conversation with myself. I said, "You can't do this." And I agreed with myself and I drank. And I drank for 8 more months. So, why did I give up on myself? And why did I stick it out while I was in cats? What was the difference between the two? The only difference that I can tell is that the time that I gave up, I didn't reach out to anybody. The time that I didn't give up, I did reach out to somebody. And when I was in the CATS facility and I called my boyfriend and he was really loving with me, I'm sure he was frustrated. But to this day, he hasn't said to me that he was angry with me that day or anything like that. It was a conversation he had with me. He loved me and he just kind of gave his opinion about what decision I should make for myself. And I felt like I wasn't alone, you know? I felt like I wasn't alone because I picked up the phone. And the time that I had the conversation with myself, and I agreed with myself that no, I was not going to be able to not drink for the rest of my life. I didn't pick up the phone that day. I just went and picked up some wine. That's it. I didn't let anybody else in. So, what I had learned, though, that wasn't the first time I tried to not drink and I drank. And it's with these repeated failures to not drink that I learned that I can't do it, even though I could do it. So, if we can learn how to be hopeless, then we must be able to learn how to be hopeful. When I feel like I can't do something, I feel like failure, it's the thing that I'm trying to do is out of my control. And when I reach out to another person, like I did when I was at CATS, I was able to see that I had a choice. It wasn't out of my control. My choice was I could stay or I could go. And then the time that I drank, when I did not reach out to another person, I did not see that I had a choice. All the years that I had been drinking, the more that I drank, my choice to drink disappeared. As my body became more dependent on drinking, I truly believed that I had to drink to survive. My body, my cells believed that I had to drink to survive. And that's why people end up in ER, because their cells need the alcohol. They've grown accustomed to living in an environment that's rich in alcohol. If you take that away, then the cells start to fail. So we lose control. I lost control. I learned that drinking was not a choice. It meant survival. Had I reached out to my boyfriend on the day that I drank again, I would have been reminded that I had a choice. And what's interesting to me is as I was doing some research on this topic, I was listening to YouTube. That's my research channel of choice or platform of choice because I get to listen. There's lots and lots of inspirational videos, on YouTube, and as I'm listening to these and I'm hearing this, we learn through repeated failure that we can't do something, even though we can. But there are people that don't learn that. There are people that never learn that failure is an end, but instead that it's the beginning, or like the Calm app said this morning, it's an intermission in the symphony. And the thing is, I can have a team of people, Team Rachel, waiting by the phone to help me whenever I need them. But I still have to pick up the phone. So there are days that healthy habits give us immediate reward. And then there are days that we don't get an immediate reward from our healthy habits. I know that when I quit drinking, as time went on, there were days that just looking in the mirror was a reward because I could see that I was looking healthier, like the color was coming back and I was gaining weight, which was a good thing at the time. I know people think negative about gaining weight, but it was good at the time. Um, that my body was getting healthier. And then as my mind was getting clearer, I was able to just be more articulate, and that intellectual side of me that was there, but it was sleeping, just kind of started waking up. And it's that, I talked yesterday about the difference between passion and obsessive behavior. And once I stopped drinking, some of that like passion started coming out, and that's when I started getting promoted at work. And that's a reward for my not drinking. And in the beginning of sobriety, the first year you get these anniversary coins. And so you're rewarded every month with a coin. And I always wondered after my first year, you stop getting them every month after the first year. Then you'll get one again at 18 months. And I was thinking, that's going to suck when I'm not getting my reward every month. But as time went on for me, the longer I was sober, the faster time passed as a sober person. So I didn't need that reward every month. The rewards were so much bigger after that. And that's these promises that I talked about in the past, a past episode. So those days that we get that shot of dopamine are the days that it's easy to do the next right thing, to keep those healthy habits. But what about the days that we don't get a hit of dopamine? Those are the days that I turn off my wanter. I've talked about this before. I call it my wanter. Whether I want to do something or not doesn't matter. You know, it's at that point, it's what am I willing to do? And it's not what do I want to do? It's what am I willing to do? So I turn off my wanter. And and what I'm talking about is really, what are you really willing to do? Because some people have to do it. You know, some people get sober, before they get sober, a lot of sponsors, when you come in, will say, are you willing to do anything? Or what are you willing to do? I think it's, are you willing to do anything to get sober? And some people will say, yes, I'm willing to do anything. But when you're asked that question is being posed um, in any what's I'm trying to think of the word I want to say. It's as drastic as you can possibly think of it. What are you willing to do? There was a lady in one of my meetings in Charlestown who used to say that she was asked that question, are you willing to do anything to get sober? And she shares, still to this day, she's an older woman, and she would say, if I was asked to roll a dime down the street with my nose, I would have done it. I would have done anything to get sober. And so what are you really willing to do to get sober? And this is not just getting sober. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, but it applies to everything. It applies to any type of healthy habit or goal. Because if you don't ask, what are you willing to do? Then you're leaving it up to your mood as to whether you're going to do it every day, you know? So, building an environment that encourages the healthy habits um, helps me. Like, it's like changing your environment. Like, you want to eat more fruit, so you put a fruit bowl out in your kitchen on the counter so that you're passing it more often. Or you want to eat more vegetables. My boyfriend actually cuts up veggies and makes a veggie tray for us so that we eat more veggies, because it's so much easier to eat the chips, because all you have to do is open up a bag. To eat a vegetable, you got to get you got to wash the vegetable, you got to cut the vegetable. So he creates an environment that makes it easier to do the healthy thing than it is to do the unhealthy thing. It's actually easier, excuse me, to get the veggie tray out of the refrigerator than it is to get the bag of chips out of the Lazy Susan. So, making the healthy thing easier than the unhealthy thing, and turning off your wanter. Like, so many times my first year of sobriety, I really just I turned off my brain. I was like, I just ignored any option. There was no choice. I had to go to a meeting, you know? And so I just went, like, close your eyes and just do it. Close your eyes and just jump in the pool. So another thing that I do in order to stick to my healthy habits is to schedule everything. Schedule everything. I've talked so much about my world famous schedule, and I still have it. I schedule everything because if I don't, I'm not going to do it. So I have to make time for it, even if it's something silly. And this phone call that my friend and I had, it was at the same time every morning. And if for some reason I wasn't able to pick up the phone, then she would call me at the same time in the afternoon as a backup. So it's about uh fitting your life around your healthy habits, not fitting your healthy habits into your life. So, rewarding healthy habits, what if the reward is life? You know? It it just when I went to detox, I did not see that my life was in danger. I didn't see that. I didn't see what I could lose. I just knew that my life was unmanageable and that I was losing things. I knew that I was no longer able to uh, keep up with my bills because I was just spending money on alcohol. I knew that I wasn't able to um, go to my job, you know. Um, and I laugh. It's not. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it seems crazy to say that. But even that was was not enough, you know? What was I willing to do? I was willing to not be able to pay my bills. I was willing to, get in trouble at work. So, working towards these big, just, things like I'm going to quit drinking so I can live. I don't I'm having a hard time clearly articulating this, but saving my life wasn't realistic to me. I didn't think that that was really what I was doing. So it wasn't until I got out of detox, I started drinking again, and I truly saw when my daughter was standing in front of me and she said, "It's okay to try again." It was then, for some reason, that I realized that I would lose everything. I realized what I was willing to do. At that very moment, I realized what I was willing to do to get sober. And that's why I talk about asking yourself when you have healthy habits, when you have, you know, if it happens to be that you have to make a decision whether you want to get sober, what are you willing to do? Do you realize that this is about life and death? Or do you just think, I need to be healthier? The reality is, I should have been asking myself all along, was I willing to die for a drink? Was I willing to leave my children behind for a drink? And when my daughter stood in front of me, it made me realize that my kids were more important than the drink. I didn't realize that I had to make that choice until that day. I didn't realize that it was the alcohol or my kids until it was the alcohol or my kids. You know, when I'm in detox and I'm on a walker and my liver is going to shut down if it doesn't start healing itself, then it's the drink or my kids. But I didn't see that. You know, and that's what the disease does. I just kept giving up. I kept drinking and I kept giving up. I thought I was giving up on me until I saw that what I was giving up was more important to me than the drink. So to give up or keep going is a decision that you weigh what you're willing to do for what you want. If what you're willing to do, the suffering, if there's suffering, is greater than expected, more than what you were willing to do, then you're going to give up. So I think it's so essential when we have a goal, something that we want, that we really have to spend time thinking about what we're willing to do to get it. And we have to remind ourselves every day, what are we willing to do to get it? Because I'm sure that on Saturday, when I talked to my friend, she would have said, I'm willing to do anything. But on Sunday, she wasn't. And that's the cunning, baffling, powerful nature of alcoholism. That's what I have today. And thank you for listening. And if you're a regular listener, please click follow. And thanks for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.